This is OM Systems' latest M.Zuiko 40-150mm f4 Pro, and it is not what you think. Hi there, it's Cheng from RED35. If you have been following my Instagram, you may notice that I have been using OM Systems' latest compact pro zoom lens, the 40-150 f4 Pro, extensively, especially for my trip in Summset last week. I'm glad that I'm not rushing my review on launch day, and instead take my time and use it properly, so I can tell you my real-life experience with the lens and not just a hands-on first look video. This review is also a little different to some of my recent videos, as I won't be doing any brick wall tests, but instead give you more sample photos so you can judge the outcome and character of OM Systems' latest lens. And last but not least, of course, all the photos were shot together with my new OM1, which my long overdue review is still to come. But boy, what a combination this is! And I hope when you finish watching this video, you will have an understanding about this 40-150 f4 Pro and whether it is a lens for you. To summarize OM Systems' f4 strategy, this M.Zuiko 40-150mm f4 Pro is the last of the f4 compact pro zoom series, after the magnificent 8-25mm f4 Pro and the dinky 12-45mm f4 Pro. And these three lenses are basically the complementing optics to their bigger brothers, the Holy Trinity in the Olympus Pro lineup, the 7-14 2.8 Pro, the 12-40mm f2.8 Pro Mark 1 or Mark II, and the 40-150mm f2.8 Pro, which I personally own all of them for my work. The single reason to create an f4 series is for photographers and creators who don't need the bright 2.8 aperture. And you may wonder, who doesn't want bright apertures, right? Well, you may be surprised to learn that there are absolutely plenty. The likes of travel, documentary, and landscape photographers, who often stop down to get details, as it is part of the storytelling and general aesthetic of the type of photography they're capturing. And therefore, large aperture, in this case, is a surplus, and can become a burden as they are generally bigger and heavier. As a result, a more compact f4 version of these lenses makes total sense. I've come to appreciate even more during my trip in Somerset, when I try to carry only the bare minimum while keeping the flexibility without sacrificing quality and durability for all my hikes and ventures. In the end, I only carry two lenses, the new 12-40 2.8 Pro Mark II and this, the 40-150 f4 Pro, together with my Mavic 3 for some aerial photography and B-rolls for videos. My entire creation tool fits in a small cube inside my low-pro Photosport 55-litre backpack during my entire trip. The new M.Zuiko 40-150 f4 Pro is beautifully constructed. Just like any previous Olympus Pro lenses, is cladded with metal and filled with glass elements. The zoom and focus rings are both buttery smooth. The lens is a lot smaller than its 2.8 brother, especially when it's in transportation mode, just like the 8-25 f4 Pro. The lens does have an internal zoom and focus mechanism, and you do need to unlock it by twisting the lens before you can take a shot. By doing so, the lens does extend a little, so the lens is a little longer in its operational mode, which I think is quite a clever thing. Unlike its 2.8 big brother, the 42-150 f4 Pro also features a more traditional and more durable twist-lock lens hood that can also be mounted in reverse during transit, further emphasize its portability. Finally, similar to other f4 Pro zoom brothers, to make it even more compact and light, the new lens also removes the manual clutch and the L function button. Both the 2.8 and f4 versions are fully weather sealed. With the new lens rated at IPX3, it is indeed designed for you to take it outside and face the elements. At only 382 grams, it's very light and complements well with any Micro Four Thirds cameras, even the smaller compact bodies like the Pen series. The lens is also very compact, measured at only 99.4mm in its transit mode. It's only a fraction longer than my Olympus 1.2 Pro Prime lenses. Like I said before, because the lens features an internal zoom and focus mechanism, the overall dimension won't change, no matter which focal length you choose. And this makes it a fantastic lens for long-time hand-holding and gimbal filming. Well, this is where it shocks me. The new 42-150 f4 Pro is sharp. And I mean it's like Japanese katana sharp. Even at wide open f4, this thing is crazy sharp. Well, I'll keep repeating the word sharp so you kind of get the idea, right? And even for the trained eyes, it seems to resolve details more like a macro lens, just with the added flexibility because of the big focal range. To demonstrate, here are some photos taken with this lens, so you can appreciate just how good it is. See what I mean? At 150mm, you can even create some isolations for portrait portraits with enough details to recognize the background, which is perfect for travel photography. And bokeh is also wonderful if you manage to get it, such as close-up details, because this lens closest focusing distance is only 70cm, which is pretty good for a long telezoom with this class. And the bokeh character also renders the lens towards a more modern look than the classic Olympus, which can appeal to some further. Vignette and chromatic aberrations are not a concern here, as I don't really experience any. And even if any exist, well, it can be easily corrected in post later. And finally, flare is resisted very well and in line with any Pro lenses I've tested so far. So if you're used to any high-end Micro Four Thirds lenses, you won't be disappointed. I love using this new 42-150 f4 Pro when I'm out and about. It's light and compact, make it super easy for me. Single-handed shooting is totally a breeze in any given focal length but the longest, only because you want more stabilization from your hand-holding position than anything else. Autofocus is fast and can keep up with anything I throw at it, including some animals and birds. Well, the OM1's new subject tracking really helps too. And on top of what I said though, there are a couple of interesting things about the 42-150 f4 Pro. First is the non-rotating front, which makes using polarizers or V&D filter a joy. And second, well, on the subject of filters, it has a 62mm thread, which is the same as the 12-40 f2.8 Pro and all the other 1.2 Pro prime lenses I've got, making this a perfect lens for, well, once again, travel and landscape and filming. So all I need to carry is one filter size for everything. Bravo! You probably get the idea now. I absolutely adore the new 42-150 f4 Pro. I may already have the 2.8 version, but I'm going to add this lens for all my travel assignments and in projects when I know portability takes priority. Remember what I said? I'm adding the f4 version to my kit, only because I can see the use of it. The 2.8 is always going to be my work lens, due to its ability to absorb more light in any given situations, which is a key to my location portraiture work and documentary filming. However, for anything else, this f4 version is really quite spectacular. If I have to nag about something, well, it will have to be the incompatibility of teleconverters. But at the same time, even if it's compatible, you probably wouldn't want to use any, because teleconverters will reduce the light gathering so much that you may need to keep shooting at ultra high ISO settings even in brighter days. So, would I recommend it to you? Oh yes, but you've got to ask yourself what type of photography you do. If your ultimate goal is to create subject separations or work in dim area a lot, then you should absolutely consider the 2.8 version. But if you enjoy retrieving details from a location and want the lightest possible long-range lens with the sharpness that can literally destroy anything in Micro Four Thirds RAM at f4, the new M.Zuiko 42-150 f4 Pro is a commendable option that will make you and your photography proud. This brings to the end of my review for OM Systems' latest Pro Zoom lens. And thanks for watching, and I hope you find this video refreshing and useful. And please let me know what you think about the lens and whether this new f4 version is something you've been waiting for. And you know what to do now. Thumb if you like this video and sub if you want to stay in touch with all things photography, filmmaking, and of course, OM System. Peace!